Hello. I just realized I forgot to hook up my microphone today, but I do have my AirPod in, so we'll just go with it. Maybe this will be a good way to compare sound. All right. Happy Sunday for those of you who are watching on a Sunday, or happy whatever day it is. Today we are on chapter 15 of First Nephi, so taking it really slow, haven't we? In 14, the angel Nephi was still caught up in his vision. He was communicating with the angel. The angel was showing him things to come, and we talked about how he was asked to leave, talking about the last days and basically the book of Revelations to the Apostle John to write. And so today we'll start with the chapter heading of Chapter 15, Lehi's seed are to receive the gospel from the Gentiles in the latter days. Lehi's seed would be, Lehi and his family are, they are going to travel to the promised land. They're going to cross the waters into the American continent. And we haven't read that part yet. We've just been, for a minute I was thinking we were already there, but we're still in the visionary part of it. Anyways, so Lehi's seed in the future will be taught the gospel by the Gentiles who have crossed the ocean and come to the American continent that we just talked about in Revelation. And not like literally, not just literally, it's like literally, but also expanding that into, populations. We definitely expand and multiply quickly. And so, anyways, I think that's literally, I have my own personal ahas or thoughts as I'm reading about, this is how that connects there. So, and also in reading that, and also knowing what comes, because I've read the Book of Mormon several times, knowing that the righteous seed, or the seed of Lehi that originally was trying to live the gospel and that was following the gospel and following Jesus Christ and following the prophet and the things that Lehi left Jerusalem for, they were destroyed almost completely, and so they all went back and forth. We're going to find out later, but the people, again, as they expand and multiply, there's different wars and there's pride that happens, and the gospel, the truth was basically, what's the word? It was muddied, or it was, I'll just say adulterated. I don't know if that's the best word to use, over time by wickedness that tends to filter in the human existence, because we're all human and we make mistakes. And when we forget to turn to Jesus Christ, or when we choose not to turn to Jesus Christ to repent and to purify, excuse me, and to learn from the mistakes that we make, whether we are afraid and our pride causes us to hide from Jesus, or I have this theory, I guess, and I'll just voice it here. I think about it all the time. When we don't truly understand the atonement of Jesus Christ, and that it's for us, and that we're not supposed to be perfect, we are supposed to turn to the perfect one to have him cleanse us and help us with him be perfect. In this life, we are not supposed to be perfect. There's scriptures, be therefore perfect, even as I am perfect. It isn't saying in this life, like in this very moment, poof, be perfect. And if you ever make a mistake again, then you're you're cast out or you're bad or you're wrong. That's not at all what that's saying. It's saying that the all-time, eternal, long, infinity beyond any kind of understanding goal is to become, in and of ourselves, perfected like God, like Jesus Christ, but also perfected in Him and through Him by relying on Him and letting Him to make up the difference. And so when we make mistakes, a lot of us, I'm just generalizing, and we believe that we're supposed to be perfect, I think that Satan can use that as a power tool, and he'll whisper to us well, you've screwed up now. There's no chance for you to ever be accepted by Jesus, so you might as well just, try on your own and just live your life on your own and become a God unto yourself. And then we turn into who needs him anyway. I mean, I think it's just this progression, but I think a lot of times it starts with, well, I've screwed up now, so God doesn't love me anymore, so I got to try and figure out how to live a life without him. And, it hurts too bad to realize that I'll never fully belong, so I'm just going to shut him out completely. Seems to be the progression. So I think thousands of versions of that happened to lead people to destroy themselves and each other, and truth and goodness is taken off the earth or out of those communities. So then there are people who are like, no, I'm not doing that, and they escape that, and they come back so they have the chance to actually be with God and to listen to God and to communicate with God and to just create space to hear him. And I just think that's in chapter 14 that's what happened. I think it's so funny when I try and even myself up in the screen. It's a distraction, definitely. When Columbus and or the other people that left Europe to come across the waters to discover and to find life on the American continent was to escape the chaos, find peace, and reconnect to God, to be led to being able to follow him again in his way. So he's saying, and we're just in the chapter heading, this is my brain, you're welcome. In the chapter heading is saying that, the people that were escaping the chaos to come over and, I was over here, I think, escaping the chaos and coming to this new land to find God again, they mingled with the people who were there and began again to teach the gospel unto them. Nephi, I'll say, the gathering of Israel is likened unto an olive tree whose natural branches will be grafted in again. Nephi interprets the vision of the tree of life and speaks of the justice of God in dividing the wicked from the righteous. So now that Nephi has had this vision of his own, he prayed to see what his father saw and to understand it for himself. Now he's going to give us his synopsis. First, he just told us what happened in his dream or in his vision, and now he's going to speak it or teach us what he learned from it through the interpretation of his father's dream. So here we go. And it came to pass that after I, Nephi, had been carried away in the spirit and seen all these things. That was my language being brought into there instead of all the things. Okay, we'll start over. Sorry. Humanness happens all the time here. It came to pass that after I, Nephi, had been carried away in the spirit and seen all these things, I returned to the tent of my father. And it came to pass that I beheld my brethren, and they were disputing one with another concerning the things which my father had spoken unto them. For he truly spake many great things unto them, which were hard to be understood, save a man should inquire of the Lord, which is why Nephi did. He's like, whoa, okay, that's interesting. There's parts of it that make sense. There's a lot of questions I have. And so instead of fighting against it or staying confused, Nephi went and found out for himself. He prayed to know. We can all do that. How many of us do, honestly? I mean, I know there's times in my life when I have, and there's other times in my life when I forget I can, or I just live by what I do understand, and whatever it is that leads me to the space of like, okay, I'm going to ask for myself. And also after we're asking, it's not like I'm going to ask, I'm going to ask you and you're just going to give it to me all at once. It's a line upon line process of learning as well. And I think that's maybe where at least I get stuck sometimes. It's like, no, I asked you this question. I want to know the whole answer. And the Lord's like, well, if I give you the whole answer, you're going to be just as confused as you were when you came to pray and asked me the question. So why don't we teach you bit by bit so that it makes sense to you over time? So he spake many great things unto them which were hard to be understood, save a man should inquire of the Lord. And they being hard in their hearts, therefore they did not look unto the Lord as they ought. I used to think being hard in your heart just meant you were wicked. I mean, my childish interpretation. I think being hard in the heart is lots of things. It's being afraid. It's like we were talking about, thinking that you're not good enough, or being lazy maybe, or just unwilling to I just don't want to do the hard thing, so never mind. Ain't nobody got time for that kind of attitude. It's maybe pride, but I don't think it definitely can lead us to becoming so separated from God that we can be classified as wicked. But I don't think that's hard-hearted happens all at once. I think there can be hardness in our hearts. And now I, Nephi, was grieved because of the hardness of their hearts, and also because of the things which I had seen, and knew they must unavoidably come to pass because of the great wickedness of the children of men. And it came to pass that I was overcome because of my afflictions, for I considered that mine afflictions were great above all because of the destruction of my people, for I had beheld their fall. To me, that just shows how much love he has for his people, for his family, and their seed, etc., etc. For him to feel that his afflictions were because of the destructions of his people that he had seen, that's, to me, just shows an awful lot of love. And it came to pass that after I had received strength, I spake unto my brethren, desiring to know of them the cause of their disputations. And they said, Behold, we cannot understand the words which our father has spoken concerning the natural branches of the olive tree, and also concerning the Gentiles. I've always read that, and I'm like, really? Were they fighting about what their dad said? I mean, they could have gone to talk about something else. But now I'm like, that's what happens in our world all the time nowadays. People fighting about, arguing, contending. Like, I can't handle, I personally can't handle it. Not that I'm above that. I just am not great for contention. It's not my thing. And so I choose out of those kinds of conversations. But maybe instead of fighting about what we think we know, maybe choosing to do like Nephi did and praying about it. Maybe even praying together. Because then your thoughts and my thoughts can come together and create a bigger, more true thought instead of let's see. And behold, we cannot understand the words which our father hath spoken concerning the natural branches of the olive tree, and also concerning the Gentiles. And he said unto them, Have ye inquired of the Lord? And they said unto me, We have not, for the Lord maketh no such thing known unto us. Which again is showing that, I'm just going to call it laziness, or just such a, maybe it's a belief that God doesn't love me as much as he loves other people. I don't know. I think there's lots of reasons. I don't think that we can just say, oh, it means you're lazy. I think there could be lots of things that can lead to, I don't believe that the Lord's going to show me the answer anyway, so I'm not going to ask. Which leads to hard-heartedness, which leads to continued hard-heartedness, which leads to separation from God and wickedness. Giving it finite terms, which is hard for me to do, because one word can come out of my mouth at once, or anybody's mouth at once, and there's usually so much meaning behind that one word. Behold, I said unto them, How is it that ye do not keep the commandments of the Lord? How is it that ye will perish because of the hardness of your hearts? Do ye not remember the things which the Lord hath said? If ye will not harden your hearts, and ask me in faith, believing that ye shall receive, with diligence in keeping my commandments, surely these things shall be made known unto you. You have to work for it. And again, it's bringing back that lens of reading the scriptures and hearing the word of God through the lens of, He wants us to know. He cares about each one of us, and it's his mercy that he gives us the scriptures through, not punishing or separating or punishing, none of that. Did I already say punishing? Anyway, if you're going to ask the Lord, you have to be willing to be open-hearted. You have to be willing to have faith that if you ask, he's going to answer. He says, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask God. Any of you means any of us, like anyone. But we have to believe that he's going to answer. Believing that ye shall receive with diligence and keeping my commandments. It's like I'm going to be super facetious, but it's like saying, dear God, please make me skinny while I do nothing for myself, while I continue to eat processed junk all the time. I don't think that some of the time or a little bit of the time is completely horrible, but it's anyway. That's a whole tangent. All I do is eat fake food and sit on the couch and sit on social media and never get sleep and, never do anything for myself because I'm just going to wait for you to make me skinny. And then when you don't make me skinny because I'm not willing to do the work, then it's your fault, not mine. We have to be willing to do what the Lord asks us to do so that we're in alignment with him, so that we can receive from him and then recognize it. Because there's lots of times I believe that we receive answers or we receive little messages from God to say, here, look, here I am, and we just don't see them. So anyways, if you do these things, then surely these things shall be made known unto you. Behold, I say unto you that the house of Israel was compared unto an olive tree by the Spirit of the Lord, which was in our father. And behold, are we not broken off from the house of Israel? And are we not a branch of the house of Israel? So this is where Nephi could have said, pray about it and figure it out for yourself. I'm not telling you. I did the work. He's not, though. He's like, here, let me see if I can break it down for you. Because I have done the work and I have this understanding. Maybe I can explain it to you in a way that will soften your heart and help you to see that it is possible, and also maybe help you understand a little bit. And whether or not they do, he's not worrying about that. He's like, I'll teach you and you can do with it what you will. I feel like another pause. This is human moment here. And chapter 15 is pretty long, so I probably I won't finish it for sure. But and now I'm like, maybe I won't tell you this, but since I started, I hate when somebody starts something and then changes their mind and don't finish it. So, or doesn't finish it. I'm kind of in that place right now where I feel like I put my whole heart and soul into things that are important to me, but also because I believe that they're important to me because the Lord has shown them to me or asked me to do them, or I believe that I've been aligning myself with his will for me, so I put my whole heart into it. And inevitably, the work that I do seems like it isn't received by the people that I'm doing it for or with. And it's a tender spot for me right now. It's like, what do I do wrong that makes it not work, And I just think right now I'm actually receiving my own little answer to my own prayers, my own little personal revelation of sorts too. I mean, in reading between the lines, like Nephi did the work and he was willing to share it with his brothers with no expectation of whether or not they would receive it. In fact, he probably knew that they wouldn't, or at least I guess you don't know anything for sure. Because at any moment somebody can change. Somebody can have their heart touched by the Spirit and change at any moment. But also history has shown that his brothers haven't listened, right? So he could have stopped there. And did Nephi feel like a failure because they didn't receive it? I don't know. Maybe, but I just feel like this is my own little message. So anyway, sorry, not sorry for that self-indulgence for a second. I just needed to pause and recognize it.